Hey everybody, it's Vanessa Ferlaino, host producer of The Human Challenge. Welcome to this 50th episode. That's right, 50 episodes, and I'm so excited to be here today. We did announce last week that we are officially on Rogers TV, so I hope you get to check that out. Super excited to be 50 episodes in and to already have some episodes airing on Rogers TV. Super pumped about that. So thank you so much for being a supporter. Thank you so much for staying tuned. We did announce that last week with our episode with my good friend, former NCAA champ and current professional international basketball player, Abigail Fogg. Yes, really, she's a friend. I'm not lying. And also, I did play basketball with her, and it's true. I used to play basketball. I sifted through the proof. I provided that proof on my Instagram. You can go check that out. It's there. I promise I used to play. There was one clip that I could not find. It wasn't a video clip. It was a newspaper clip because those things still exist. All right. I know we're in a digital world. Newspaper clippings still are a thing. But I played about 10 years ago. And yeah, anyways, there was a newspaper clipping of me. It was actually at one of our championship games, if I remember correctly. It was a very unflattering photo. I'm like under the basket and like I'm directly under the basket because I was a post player and I got a rebound. And so I'm trying to like make the basket again, which I did make, by the way. But yeah, I had to do like a kind of, because I'm under the basket, right? I had to do like a weird hook shot thing. And so you can imagine that my face does not look very good, but I couldn't find that clipping for the life of me, unfortunately. If anybody has it, please send it to me because I would love to see it. Anyways, did provide proof, real story. So that's one big thing that we're doing for this new season, for this 50th episode. We're going to be on Rogers TV. Another new thing we're going to be doing, you're going to get a lot more of just me. A few solo episodes. I'm going to come on here and just talk about things that might just be inspiring, that I feel I want to talk about. So a few more solo episodes. And we're actually going to start doing this thing called like community episodes or community spotlights. Don't know what to call them yet. But going to be chatting with just everyday people like you and me, and just hearing their stories, hearing uplifting moments, again, how we're challenging humanity, how we're challenging what it means to be human. Still have that theme going on, but going a little bit more into community. Might just be people that I've met that I'll be launching in the next 1 or 2 weeks maybe. But that first episode will actually feature somebody that I met through my mindfulness community, which I think is really fun. It was totally random. I do free sessions on Insight Timer and he just happened to be there. And there was something that he typed into the chat that really resonated with me and we connected. And turns out he's doing really cool things that are challenging humanity and the way that society works. And so I was like, you should come on the podcast and talk about it. So he's going to join us. It's going to be really great. We've got a lot of really amazing people coming on. We're going to have the founder of the Syrian Canadian Foundation. We have a few other people with really, really powerful stories that are going to come on and share their stories with us. And so I'm really, really excited about that. But today it's just you and me. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. Maybe we'll go for 15, 20 minutes. But I did want to chat about a couple things, especially because my new book is out. Yes, it is. I got to be honest with you. I'm already tired of promoting it. I shouldn't say that. Promoting work is okay. It's fun. It's fun meeting people, right? When you get to connect with people and just in a human way, right? Like it's fun to do that kind of stuff. But sometimes it can get very tiring to always be talking about like, why did you write the book? And tell us about this, about the book. Because it's like this book is just this thing. And it's not fun to talk about a thing or, even if when it's like a creation. But what is fun to talk about is like stories and sharing stories and meeting people and connecting and talking about themes. That stuff's always really nice to me. But also, I don't create from a place of ego. So I create, because I'm aware that my creations, they're for me. It's a gift to you, right? Because you're going to resonate with it in whatever way it resonates. But it's something that I do for me. And then I release it out into the world and it resonates with you in whatever way it resonates. And I think that's awesome and amazing. And that's why I think art and creativity and imagination is so beautiful, because it's going to tell you what you need to hear. And I actually do talk about that in the book. But when it comes to actually like formally promoting it, I'm like, ugh. Ooh, I feel because I'm not very like ego based as a human being. And so sometimes I'm just like, oh God, I'm so exhausted, like talking about myself. It really does get exhausting. So I try to do some fun things. Maybe you caught the launch party on Sunday, September 28th. We were live streaming. You might've been there in person. So much fun. I talked a little bit about the book. We had opening DJ Seath on there. He killed it. Honestly, it was so great. He opened up the show. I talked about the book. We heard from Nakendon, an amazing nonprofit right here in Northern Ontario. Does phenomenal work, and I'm so glad that they were there. And then I played some music. So that was probably my favorite. And that's what I cannot wait to be sharing with you, but a little bit more about that later. Hint, hint. But today we're going to I want to talk about something in the book. And actually there was a theme that I think came up during that show. And I spoke about how my definition of healing changed as I wrote this last book. The last book was called Human Expansive Edition. It is sort of a reflection of my first book, which was called Human, won 2 awards, etc., etc. I'm supposed to tell you it was on Times Square billboard because I'm supposed to sell you, but I'm not going to do that because I'm tired of selling people. I just want to talk. Is that good? Are we good? Can we just talk? Can we just have a conversation? Is that okay with you? So what I talked about in this event, I talked about how, and in this book, what we see is my definition of healing changed. When I first wrote Human, my first book, healing was this destination. It was this thing I had to do, this place I had to get to. But now I understand that it's a journey, and it's not even just a journey. What I think healing actually is about liberation. And so I'm not even sure that healing is the word I would use. For me, it's actually about liberation, because not only am I liberating myself from, pain and trauma and all the things that happen to us, right? Like, we're human beings. We go through life. It's just inevitable. Like, shit's going to happen in our life, right? That's just normal. But in addition to the shit that happens to us, a lot of times we tell ourselves stories about who we are, about our self-worth, about our value that comes from this pain and this hurt. And so that, to me, is what liberation is. It's not only am I liberating myself from the hurt and the pain and whatever, but I'm also liberating myself from these stories that I told myself about what I was worth, about my value, about who I am, about who I thought I was allowed to be, about who I thought I had to be. And those stories can also come from other people, right? Unfortunately, a lot of people do try to tell us who we're supposed to be and who we're allowed to be. And most times the people they want us to be are the people that they need, but really it's what they need from themselves. But somehow that becomes like our responsibility. No thanks. And so my book does touch on this a little bit, about reflecting on this and talking about how well actually I've liberated myself from all that. And I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be who I am. And I don't even know what that means. I don't think that has to have a definition either. I think I can just be and pay attention to some of the things that are coming up for me in any moment, pay attention to what brings me joy. That's all I really want. I just want to be, I want to experience joy. I want to be happy. I don't want to be like elated and over the top, and I don't want to be, fluffy and high on cloud nine, but I do want to be happy. I want to be at peace. And so to me, healing has become more about liberation and just finding that place where I can have inner peace. I think that also means, though, that, we're not turning a blind eye to suffering. And that's something else that we'll talk about in my book, where, it's not really our human nature to turn our back to suffering, to turn our back to the suffering of ourselves or even each other. That's not really in our human nature, but we also can get lost in it. And so how do we create space so that I can still be liberated, but not turn my back to the suffering of other people? And so we see that theme a little bit as well. And I think it's really important to remind ourselves of this, given the state of the world, given geopolitical tensions, given a live stream genocide. I think it's very, very important that we remember that just because, my liberation isn't really just mine. My liberation at the end of the day is about all of us. And this is what I say is a thread of our humanity. And that's, again, something you'll see me talking about in the book, that my humanity isn't really just mine. It's connected to all of us. So if I'm free, we're all free, and I'm going to support others and making sure we can all find that liberation for ourselves, because we all deserve that. We can kind of claim that for ourselves, but know that it's connected to everybody else's. And so really what that means is that my healing and or my liberation doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's not just about me. I'm constantly in touch with people. You and I were here today. You're listening to me and I'm sharing with you. There's some energy exchange happening here. I walk out in the world and who knows all the people that I pass, but those are all exchanges. Those are all opportunities. Those are all invitations. We don't really know. And so I do believe that if I'm committed to my own liberation, then I'm in some way committing to other people's liberation. It reminds me of this quote by Archbishop Desmond Tutu way back in the day, where he says that my humanity is bound up in yours, for we can only be human together. I really love that quote so much because to me, it really just reminds me of bringing our inner and outer worlds together, right? How do we bring even the inner work that we do and the outer work that we do? How do these things come together? That is something that's very powerful about my book. Most self-help is very much inner world related, but my book says, hey, can we bring our inner and outer worlds together to create real change? And that's what I'm really hoping you'll get from that. So you can check that out, vanessaferlaino.com/expansion. We're going to have a lot more guests coming up in the next little bit on this season talking about that, talking about bringing our inner and outer worlds together, talking about how our inner work led to the work that we do out in the world. You're going to hear a lot more amazing people, way more amazing than me, come on the show and talk about those journeys. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode.